we're glad to have you around.
Thank you very much.
We also have George Ngaira with us in the studio. Karibu sana, George.
Thank you very much, Fred.
You'll be hearing pretty soon.
Yes.
Announcements.
Very important.
You'll be hearing announcements, very important announcements pretty soon. And you'll be saying, I know that guy. All right?
Yeah.
And so we'll be telling you more about this. We're also expecting James Mlamba to come and join us in a couple of minutes or so. And so, yeah, welcome. And feel free to participate in this conversation as we talk about it. Go to your Facebook page, to our Facebook page on EBN. And basically, as the conversation goes on, feel free to participate and give your opinion, give your thoughts, and we'll definitely air them on air, right? Awesome stuff. Now, there was the launch of Martha Karua's book yesterday.
Yes.
An interesting scenario here, which brought together people who, this early, you would think maybe from here we can get, somebody who is to probably stand against Ruto in 2027. I mean, you're seeing Martha Karua, Jimmy Wanjigi, the likes of Kalonzo Musyoka, and the former deputy president Rigiji. They were all there. And the other guys who basically don't add a vote to this outfit also. So when you see this, what do you read?
I was there myself.
Oh, you were there
Yes,
yourself, okay.
I wanted to see it with my naked eyes.
Yes.
And there is something that Dr. Moheza Ketui said.
Yes.
That we are fighting a determined dragon with a gold in its mouth.
With that?
A gold in its mouth.
Yes.
And we are trying to snatch this gold from the mouth of this dragon. So we will have to be very strategic and tactical in our move. Because William Ruto has everything he needs to fight us back.
Yes.
So according to Dr. Moheza Ketui, we will need a lot of planning, and we need people who are abrasive and people who can actually resonate with the people. From what I read and what I see, what happened in 2002, these people will have to go into one room and decide to choose among the best. Because if we will do these things casually,
yes,
William Ruto could come back.
Yes.
Because he's working with a political giant that we've known.
True.
And William Ruto siding with Raila Odinga, from what I see, now that we have a history of politics that is not actually very, there is around a lot of dispute around it.
Yes.
So if it happens that William Ruto has been announced as the winner, and Raila Odinga is not complaining, and his people are not complaining,
yes,
I don't think there is anybody else who can cause a problem to that outfit.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest reason why William Ruto will do everything for now to stick with Raila Odinga, because it's his people who causes problems, and when they complain that this election has a problem,
yes,
actually the country comes to a standstill. But if Raila Odinga's people will be okay with what will happen in 2027, then the rest of us will be a noise that will not help anywhere. So the team, our team that has the vision of making William Ruto one-term president, I think we should not be playing catch-up. We should not be reactionary, responding to things that the president has done. I think we should be the one leading the way. We should, I have been of the opinion that we should identify what did William Ruto did that actually made people believe him, despite the fact that he's not capable of doing what he promised.
Said he was going to do.
Yes. William Ruto went where the people are. He went to the churches, to the markets, to everybody that...
He went to the lowest levels,
yes,
to talk to the people.
Yes, and we cannot resonate with the people. Talking from Karen and State House roads, we will need to go to where people are and tell them what they were promised and have not been delivered.
Now, when you look at the like of Kalonzo Musyoka,
Yes.
who seems to be the senior most politician here.
Yes.
In terms of, I mean, the years he's been in politics.
40 years now.
Yes, he's been in politics for 40 years. His style of politics has never been the people down to the ground kind of politics. His kind of politics is over the roof,
Yes.
on top of vehicles. Do you see these people able to change their tact? Martha Karua has never been a person at the same time who goes to the ground.
Yes.
These are elites who meet in hotels and on top of vehicles.
Yeah.
How do you change this?
You know, Fred,
Yes.
they say a day in politics is quite a long time, and that a lot can happen in a week. You remember President Mwai Kibaki, the late Mwai Kibaki, became a candidate just 3 months to the election, and that euphoria that had been built over a very long time. Never mind, he was never on the streets. You know, President Kibaki was a vice president for a long time. When the likes of Orengo and the likes of Raila were in detention and in jail, this guy was enjoying as a deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, and he was the very last person you'd expect to lead a team of agitators like Orengos and the others who had spent 20 years in the struggle to actually become their candidate. So a lot can change between now and when we get to the election. But when you look at this team as they sit and the optics of it, it seems like Kalonzo Musyoka seems to be the face of this particular group, obviously by what you've said, by virtue of experience. He's been, he went into parliament in 1985. Yeah, and is now doing almost 40 years in active politics, and he's been everything else a politician can be in the country, except from president.
Yes.
So by virtue of stature, age, and experience, and he'll be 70, I think this year, if I'm not wrong, because he's born 55, 56, so it could be around 70 years. So by age, experience, and stature, he then supersedes, maybe only competes with Rigathi Gachagua, but Rigathi has only been in politics for 7 years, you know, having been MP for 5 years and 2 years as deputy president, and just a vice president for 2 years. So then he comes second to Kalonzo Musyoka. So from what is being seen here is that obviously they have a team, and they're hoping that they can be able to push something that can, to put together something that can be able to contest against this sitting, an extremely very unpopular president. This is the most unpopular president in the history of this country in a record 2 years. You would think he's been around for the last 24 years. You know, 2 years is quite a short time.
Yes.
You know, Nyayo had to do 24 years to be hated
as unpopular
as he was. But then 2 years, and you would walk around. I told you one time I was here in South Sea, just South B towards that area called Fuatanyayo.
Yes.
And I would hear kids singing at break time, you know, no, let's go with it. And these are class 4 kids. I was like, these are kids who do not even know nothing about that William Ruto. But it seems it was stuck into their mind.
I had children in our estate.
Yeah.
I mean, just running around singing Kasongo.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
And I'm wondering,
And
whoever coined whatever slogans against this president,
yes,
has managed to turn him into the most unpopular, probably hated candidate.
Fred, this brings to my second point, which I wanted to say very quickly, is that on this group, we obviously have an idea who wants to be a candidate, but then there's the reality of what it takes to do campaigns. We've discussed with you many times,
Yes.
Fred, I've told you, real presidential candidates must have a national structure.
Yes.
They must go to the constituencies. And as we speak today, we have about 290 constituencies. And even if today I told you that we had the funds on top of this table and we were told, can you go to the constituencies, where now funds are not a factor.
Yes.
To run through 290 constituencies a week, you need 290 weeks. To be in every constituency, to be able to do 500 rallies the way Jubilee, President Ruto and President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto in 2017 did, to cover those counties. Physically is a very strenuous thing. Forget even the funds. People go hang out on a weekend, you say I have a wedding, you come just for a simple wedding, and the next day somebody is sleeping for a whole day saying I'm tired. You can imagine what it means to be able to hit 290 constituencies, to be able to cover that. So that is the other phase that these people haven't quite shown, and the kind of doubt that brother has even raised here, that there's a debate here that yes, he can be a good candidate, but the realities of executing a presidential campaign with what we did, I've been covered 2 presidential campaigns, and I've seen what logistics look like. In 2017 with Norman Magaya, and you know, the CEO of the Secretariat, and we had to do 46,000 polling stations. It's not a joke. So even if they brought the money on the table and saying, Gaira, these are the funds, executing that needs another personality. And I think the closest, the closest we get to that as for somebody who really knows ground campaigns should be the Rigathi Gachagua. Seems like the kind of guy that can go to the ground and actually do what you call him.
Of all this, and if you look at this outfit, Joachim, since money is a key thing in presidential campaigns, I am seeing they have the money bag, Jimmy Wanjigi here. And at least Jimmy Wanjigi
and
Gachagua, these two are capable of funding a campaign, a presidential campaign. Question is the ground ready for them? I mean, majority of them, apart from Rigathi Gachagua, who's just been, you know, we've seen him for only 2 terms. As in, he was a member of parliament for 1 term, and then the next thing is deputy president. But the rest have been around for a while. We know what they do, we know how they look, we know whether
what they are capable of.
Yes.
We can actually predict what they will do tomorrow.
Exactly. Is the ground ready to embrace these people as the next bunch of leaders? Do you think Kenyans believe that this group can bring change?
The problem we have in the country right now, the young population actually.
Good question.
The young population.
Yes, they are casting aspersions on literally everyone. You bring the name Matiang'i, they are like, no, he was here 2017.
True.
We saw people being killed.
Yes.
You mention Wanjigi, they are like, no, he's probably making noise because he's not been part of the eating people. You mention Mother Karua, they have a problem with literally everyone.
Yes.
And the first order of business will be to make the people know that we are not looking for an angel here. We are looking for somebody who can actually come and make our lives a little bit more comfortable than we already have. And then, just like Ngaire has mentioned, we will need a lot of groundwork. As he mentioned, in 2002, when Kibaki was running, Kibaki had a Raila Odinga, a very fierce campaigner. We need our Raila Odinga in this campaign, a person who can resonate with the people. We will need to identify young people because our politics is abrasive. We need somebody who can actually cause
a disruption.
Yes. Somebody like Kalonzo Musyoka seems like a safe pair of hands, but he does not play the kind of politics the Kenyan people want. He once organized a rally in Kitengela and cancelled it because of security. You know, he is coming to inherit a political base that needs
so
volatile.
Yeah.
They need that back and forth with the government. And when you prove that you can be there, they will stand for with you.
Yes.
But now we will have first to convince, especially the young people, that we are the best. That the person we are bringing, he could have done this and this, but in terms of service delivery, he's better than the one we have. Matiang'i could have done some things. As a human being, we do some things that we are not proud of. But in terms of service delivery, Matiang'i is better than President William Ruto.
And he would probably be better than Kalonzo Musyoka and Rigiji.
Yes.
If he came here, do you see these egos, the egos that are represented here?
Yes.
Do you see these egos being willing to step aside and let a Matiang'i be the presidential candidate?
I can foresee that. All they want, William Ruto to go. That's the key objective. So they will do anything and everything to make William Ruto a one-term president. And the factor that Wanjigi, Gachagua, and Martha Karua bringing the vote basket of Mount Kenya, they will be comfortable with Matiang'i because at the end of the day, Matiang'i does not have his own numbers.
Yes.
So even if Matiang'i becomes president, they will still be in charge because he can go and listen to them.
because he doesn't have a base.
Yes. He cannot boast of any numbers.
Yes.
So he will solely depend on them. So having a Matiang'i as a president, they are good with it. They are good. They will. They can actually step back and let him lead the way.
But he becomes then a lame duck president, doesn't he? Because it looks as though other people will be leading because they can control the numbers.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We could have such a scenario. But now we need to make people understand that what happens in those offices doesn't matter as long as you can afford your health care, the school is running well, your security is guaranteed, and your business can actually bring some returns. People don't care about what these politicians do. The reason why people are so aware of what is happening in the politics is that you mentioned the children singing Kasongo.
Yes.
You realize that your father was a bus driver during Uhuru's time. And he is still a bus driver today. But the number of slices of bread on the table have reduced. So you keep wondering, what is it that we don't afford? Why is it that we don't afford the same size of bread now
That we
used to afford, and my father is still doing the same job? Then you find your father seated somewhere saying, William Ruto has actually done this.
Yes. So Ruto has become the scapegoat
of
for
everything. Yes.
Do you see these egos standing down for Matiang'i?
Fred, looking at the very important dynamics that work in politics is numbers and resources. If you put that into play here, then the two factors that are very critical to politics, which is the political numbers and resources, which is what you put on the table, then it easily tells you who the candidate can be here. Ordinarily, it would have been the mountain would have presented that because they come in with big numbers and then come in with big resources. But the political optics of the country currently makes them an unviable candidature here. So we are outrightly excluding the business of Gachagua and Karua being candidates on this day. I doubt whether they are here because they want to be candidates. Maybe they're only here to be able to build their stakes, but they are very critical assets towards taking Ruto home, because 5 million votes from the mountain, and then you bring 5 million more from Ingo, that's a 10 million lead before you talk to anybody, and that's what William Ruto knows. William Ruto is going to do a reshuffle this week, probably in the next 2 weeks or so, of the PSs, and probably might do some bit of changes in the cabinet, because there's a cabinet minister who hasn't been nominated. I think gender or something. There's a lady who was nominated. She didn't qualify, and there's
JB Muturi
who could be replaced. So there's actually going to be some slightly more realignment even in cabinet, and that is because he factors and realizes that it's easy to rig when you have a margin of 200,000, but when you have a gap of 1 million or 2 or 3, it becomes very hard to be able to do that, because then you leave him with only his guaranteed vote of Central Rift, which is about 2 million votes, and then if he's able to convince our brothers with Kondele, he has gone and hired some Kondele guys to be his new soldiers. It was his quickest.
They actually have become a body shield of this government.
Yeah, they're the ones now. They're the only ones, really. There's nobody else across the country. You don't see Northeasterners or coastal guys who are tough and pro-ODM talking anymore. They're quiet. The people who are talking is Wandai and Badi, and obviously because they have something on the table. But I just want to address something that you asked him, and it was a very good question. You asked him that even if this group agrees and settles on a candidate, are they convincing enough to the modern voter of today, Fred? A modern voter where a young girl from my village in Kakamega called Aziad Nasenya has 6 million followers.
Yes.
This Daily Nation, which is the highest selling newspaper now, has shrunk to 60,000 copies, which is only printed once in the morning. You understand? Aziad can do 6 million in minutes. The scale of communication is just way too. There's a media house. Actually, the Kenyan law, when you look at the Communication Act, anybody above 5,000 people is a media house. That's how it's considered now, because of national security. Because 5,000 people, you can incite 10%, 500 people to come armed, and you can cause trouble. So anybody that can roll with 6 million people at a go, it means it provides a very serious platform that can easily counter such a group on a different scale. We will all agree that William Ruto is bad. Then the debate shifts to who's the alternative.
Yes.
You understand?
Actually, that's the question
that becomes now.
That's the question now.
We have to answer that question.
That's the subject I'm telling you, and that's what I'm saying. You ask a perfect question. That even if they agree, then now it goes to the people. And those people you're talking of are now 70% young. Fred, we are going to have some historic results, because people are thinking, ordinarily before you'd beat me if you had a chopper and you can easily reach Mandera in minutes than me.
Yes.
You understand? You'd probably cover the country faster than me. But now with media and social media, I can quickly get to Mandera faster than you. You understand?
Yes.
Because I can easily stream all the way to Mandera. It changes the dynamics and makes it very easy for new candidates to prop up and actually compete, depending with what they're selling to them. What they're selling to the people. You remember a gentleman called Mohammed Abdu Badida?
Yes.
Only showed up at the debate stage only.
Yes.
And then went to his county in Isiolo to tell his people, I'm now a president.
Yeah.
They believed him. He was not last on the ballot.
Yes.
He even beat Mother Karua and Peter Kenneth, who had spent 200 million,
Yes.
by the way, because I knew some friends who were working with him.
Yes.
He had spent 200 million, fairly trying to go around to build something for himself. Dida didn't spend even 10 million. He was because there were Kenyans there who were just waiting for an alternative, because that's the subject.
Yes.
That probably without the alternative, they would be fighting as to between the two devils, quote unquote, this group or the president.
Yes.
But if another format comes up on the ballot again and is able to be managed for a longer period for the idea to sell, then the dynamics would change. Big time.
I think we will have a lot. Close to the elections, my idea is that everybody with the ambition of being president
Will come up.
should front himself. We'll lock them somewhere, all of them. Let them fight, do everything, and come out with one person.
Yes.
And we throw our support behind that person.
Yes.
That's the only way we can send home William Ruto. They have come up with a narrative that we are only against William Ruto because we are always against challenging presidents. That it's not William Ruto as a problem, it is his tribe.
Yes. Actually, you're so right. The narrative has changed into a tribal narrative.
Yes.
It is, the Kikuyus are bad.
Yes.
I heard Mbadi saying something in the Luo, talking about, the track record of the Kikuyu and the Luo. And now there's another track record of the Kalenjin.
Yes.
We hated. So it's moving tribal.
They are taking us back to our tribal cocoons. And according to them, every problem, even the problem that William Ruto is having, is caused by Kikuyus. And I was asking, is it true that we do not have a road in Kandui because some Kikuyu refused to build it?
It's not true.
Is it true that we do not have electricity in the many parts of Rongo because some member of parliament from Moranga did not? We have our representatives in government. At times we are told we are third in command, especially the Luya community. If your position of power does not result into trickle down of resources to the people, then that position is useless. I tell people that we do not have developments at home because we have been having flaccid leaders at the front. And they should not make Kikuyus scarecrows and scapegoats. We should tell the people that these tribal topics they are raising, it is just to camouflage and pretend to be good people. Because even if we could say that Kikuyus have done this and this, when you ask today, are any Luya walking on the road to tell you where Musalia Mudavadi's office is, he doesn't know.
It's true.
Why? Because they don't see a reason to go there.
They don't see a reason to go there.
You will not get any sort of help. As a Luya, if you want to get any kind of help, you will get help if you go to a Kikuyu's office or any other tribe. But now they are coming to us and telling us that we do not have this and this because Kikuyus refuse to build it. They are taking us back to the tribes. And we must make people understand that that is a lie. The truth of the matter is that the people we have elected have not lived up to their promise. And this kind of argument will sell in the rural areas. I think we should be in the rural areas. True. We should not just meet here at Tamarind Hotel. I went home
Yes.
in a local market center,
Yes.
and I went to a Kenyozi, and I decided to exchange just to see how the ground is. And we have a lot of work to do on the ground. Because somebody tells you, William Ruto wants to work, but nobody is letting him. Then I first saw that as a problem. We need to go there on the ground, in the rural areas, because watu Nairobi wanajua what is wrong and what is right. But when we fail to go to the rural areas, you see the President Ruto is actually going to churches that are not in the cities.
Some you can't even get on Google.
Yes.
On Google Maps.
Yes.
As in down there.
Uko ndani kabisa. If we just wear suits
Yes.
and speak in the cities,
Yes.
just assuming that William Ruto is so unpopular and he will go home, he will come back.
Yes.
We are not supposed to assume anything. We are supposed to turn every stone.
And he now has a political beast.
Yes.
On his side.
Yes.
This beast knows almost all strategies, politics. He knows how to connect to the people on the ground. Now, when you have William Ruto and
Raila
Odinga on one side, that is a humongous political animal.
Fred, on paper.
On
paper is a huge animal. I've been a life member of ODM for 20 years, since 2005, when me and my brother Sifuna were students of lawyer in Parklands. And that's the first time I voted, I told you, in that referendum. I just woke up from my hostel and crossed to Hospital Hill and voted no for that work draft that we had. And since then, we voted 6 times.
Yes.
You know, 4 presidential campaigns and I think 2 referendums. And since then, when we first voted for ODM in 2007, and we had almost 102 members of parliament out of 210, that 210 or something like that. Yes. It means it was the strongest party in parliament and had the widest representation across the country. 2013 we went low. 2019 we went low. Today we are speaking at less than 80 members of parliament out of 300. It means we have less than 30% of representation. It means even with our party leader on the ballot, our numbers have been going down. We had the highest number of governors in 2013 when we got elected. Our numbers have gone down. A small party called UDA that only existed for 18 months became they had the highest number of governors, highest number of senators, highest numbers of members of parliament individually. If you check the numbers in parliament, it tells you that things have changed and the voters have changed. Nobody expected William Ruto in our home in Western to get 611,000 votes. In Bungoma, 250 something. In Kakamega County, we had 144,000. If you compile from the other pockets of the Western region, nobody calculated on paper, because on paper Raila Odinga had a clean win. Yes. You understand? Because you just take Western Coast and then backed by a few Kikuis. Remember the debate was the mountain, we just want 20%.
Yes.
Yes.
If you remember our campaign.
Yes.
Because we had calculated that we needed 4 million votes. And if you just get 1 million, maybe 2 if they are nicer, then we are home and dry. We forgot that our pockets of our people, some people changed their minds. And I told you in Bungoma, I had even campaigns in my own homestead, with my own member of parliament in Tongareni there, my friend Mheshimiwa John Chikati. And I saw people, my own relatives, queuing and voting for President William Ruto. And I had to deliver this message to our people, and I said, my brothers were working with us, and he's right about the rural areas.
Yes.
Because we might sit here and assume
that
you see is the most
individual.
exactly, but you've not taken time to go to the ground and see what are the people saying. You understand?
Yes.
But Fred was going to explain this. That you see, human beings are a very interesting people, and problems in this country might never end. In the US, they have existed since 1776. I think there will be 250 next year of a democracy.
Yes.
But they still have what you would call campaign issues. You know, because as human beings, as we evolve, our problems continue increasing.
Yes.
You might have had problems when you are a teenager,
yes,
but now you have other problems maybe as a parent or as an adult.
Yes.
So it means you will always be required to be a leader and make the certain changes that you need to make.
Yes.
Fred, today Trump is saying that in the US there are some men who are participating in women's sports.
Yes. And they were, by the way.
And you know, there was
the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
That you know, there's some men.
This world is coming
because of the transgender debate. You understand?
Yeah.
And there was even a boxing match where this gentleman who has been born with more of testosterone than female genes, who opted to be a woman, and they had been shortlisted for a boxing match. When they went into round down, he almost blew up the lady's face. I said, no. They suspended the match. And this forced our whole president to put it as a national agenda, and on live TV he had to sign a new executive order that you only have two genders, male and women, because of this debate. You see, it's a problem, but might not be a basic problem like the one we have. So in Kenya today, the biggest problem we have is economy and jobs. That is the one thing that everybody and jobs.
I think we should focus on that. William Ruto will be defending SHA, house levy, and every other thing, the raiding of the payslip. I think our winning point should be how the money gets into the pockets of the people, how they get the jobs, and the 281 promises that have not been delivered. I think we should base on that. When I told people that when you make your own checklist on health, education, security, and you want to vote for President Ruto based on that, he will not even get 5%.
He's not performing.
Yes, he's not actually performing. All he's doing is promises after promises, and cramming of village names. Whenever he goes to any place, he will tell you from Jomvu, Mariakani, Kibanda Hasara, sijui tuende mpaka hapa Weybridge. You know, that is not helping people. Yes, cramming village names will not help people.
You know, Fred, where I was heading to with that conversation is exactly what my brother Simiwi is alluding to. That in 2027, the Kenyan population is going to hit 60 million. And at least half of that, which is 50%, which will be 30 million, will be adults. And of those 30 million, 15 million of them are the younger ones, 18 to 40 years, 35 to 40 years. Jobless. The next president, the debate of the next election, Fred, if it's to make sense. And that's why when you raise the issue of that even if these guys end up with a candidate, they have to face an electorate. But the 2027 electorate will be a modern one. A modern one where a 26-year-old Aziad Nasenya or Mulamoa has an audience of 6 million people. You understand? What if for her, as an individual, says, for me, I'm not interested with big names and history. I just want to know which is my next opportunity. And there are 6 million people.
Because if you can remember during the Gen Z's debate, actually the thing that made it big was the participation of those influencers online. They would take a clause and they break it down online. And you talk to the young people and what they are regurgitating is what they had online.
Fred, 6 million people are 100 Kasarani stadiums. Full 60,000 people at Kasarani. Times 100 is what 6 million is. That means that person will have done 60 rallies. Theoretically speaking. You understand? So such an audience that is the voter these characters are going to meet. Is not the old school Koko somewhere in the village there, you know, a shosho in the village there, Fred, who just needs a lesson. And you show up and you say, what is the strategy? Organize a football tournament for the boys, buy lessons for the women. Because that voter will be different. So the sellability of this group is why I exist today. Because I am thinking of a third platform of how to communicate with the people. Because they will be there and they'll be voters. Fred, a lot of people are discussing about new registered voters, but they're forgetting something, Simeon. There are 8 million Kenyans who are registered but did not vote.
There are 8 million Kenyans who did not vote.
But they're already in the system. Forget the 5 million that IBC has said they need to register. You know, they've said, I don't know, 5.8 million, 6 million that they are targeting to register. So from 22.5, maybe 23 million, they're actually looking at 30 million voters in the next election. If you look at 6, 7 million is a range. Forget those ones. The 8 million who didn't turn up, who, if they show up in this election, they are able to change the game. Most of them are young people. You understand?
Most of them are young.
They are young. They didn't see any reason to vote. Because political consciousness at that time was not as it is today.
Yes.
I think people are more aware that politics affects your life directly. There are people who used to think that we only vote to give people jobs and it has nothing to do with them.
Yes.
But today they know that when we vote wrong, we will live wrong. They will have they have a reason to vote. And the side they will vote on, that side will carry the day. And as we have said, most of them are young people.
Yeah.
We need a platform that engages the young people.
If you look at this picture here, there is no face of a young person here.
Only Eugene Wamalwa here is the youngest.
And Eugene is not young. He just has facial.
No, but he's. I'm saying on this list.
Oh yeah, so
here,
this.
Because it's the one who's in mid-50s.
Yes.
These other ones are 70 plus.
Yes.
You understand? Well,
so
maybe.
How are these? How are these guys
Fred,
going to capture
the-
that young generation that